Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Jupiter transiting the fifth house in a natal chart. Now, on average, Jupiter will traverse a house for approximately 1 year. If your house size is a little bit bigger than average size, then Jupiter will be in there for a longer period. However, if your house size is a little bit smaller than average size, it will be in there for a shorter period. Well, anyway, people, first thing I'll look at when Jupiter transits your natal fifth house, obviously this could be very auspicious and favorable for things of a romantic nature. If you don't have a significant other or not romantically involved with somebody right now, it could be a time where you might find that elusive love. And if you have a significant other or you're attached at the moment, well, you might simply incorporate a little bit more romance into your relationship. Also, this could be positive for perhaps things that connected with conjecture and speculation. If you're somebody that does gambling, of course, legally, if you're doing this professionally, for example, and you're doing this for a living or whatever, then it might be more favorable for you now than usual. It could also give somebody that maybe doesn't really somebody that doesn't gamble much, it could give them a little greater propensity for it during this time. So it's of course it's important to be careful and prudent as far as this goes. Everything I say in moderation, including moderation, because Jupiter sometimes expands, and it's not, I mean, for the most part, Jupiter usually has a very good beneficial effect on the house it hits. But keep in mind that Jupiter can also be about enlarging, and it's that which is not always good necessarily. Jupiter can sometimes expand, for example, a proclivity to gamble being transiting the fifth house, and sometimes that can result in losses. Well, anyway, it's also important. Jupiter transiting the fifth house may also indicate more of a need for creative expression. It's possible, a little more possible than average, that the person might receive some notoriety and accolades for their creative endeavors and their creative achievements during this transit. This could also be a period where you express an exuberance and enthusiasm more with a romantic partner, or what it could indicate, and with children as well, perhaps a strong enthusiasm and exuberance with them if you do have children. Now, say if you're a woman, this might be a more auspicious and propitious time as far as conception and pregnancy may go. It could very well be more favorable for a good delivery, a good pregnancy in general. And really, when you look at this transit, Jupiter also, it could put the fun more, the enjoyment, being more jocular in things connected with romance. This could be a time where you really may be a little bit more gregarious than usual. And even if let's say, you can really act a little more with uninhibited expression. Even if your chart suggests that your personality is somewhat inhibited and introverted, like mine, for example, with most of my planets below the horizon and having Saturn conjunct the ascendant in the 12th house, it's interesting because I have Jupiter transiting my fifth house now. Even though it's intercepted, it means maybe I'm having a little more difficulty tapping into maybe the positive connected with this. But still, I think it's kind of made me a little bit more outgoing and more gregarious than usual, and more about my own self-expression, maybe creatively, even to some degree. Well, anyway, also, this is a period too with Jupiter transiting the fifth house in your natal chart. Well, this could be a time, you look at Jupiter's connected with publishing, and the fifth house is about romance, so maybe it's a time where you might publish something connected with, if you're a romance novelist, this could be a very good period for getting another one published, or it could be a time where you might want to get something published, more desire to get something published connected with, perhaps with something with romance, something with creativity, maybe something about your children if you do have them, and something maybe just about your things that you're enthralled with, things that you enjoy, your hobbies, and maybe you maybe like you might want to do get something published connected with that. So those are some things to look at as far as Jupiter transiting your natal fifth house goes. Well, anyway, it's also important to look at the aspects that are made from this Jupiter transit to your fifth house, and I should say it's important to look at the aspects that are made from this transit to your natal planets and points in your chart, as this could impact the transit. Well, anyway, let's say, for example, that transiting Jupiter is making a conjunction to your natal Neptune in the fifth house. Well, this could indicate a strong emphasis perhaps on things connected with your imagination, on compassion, but at the same time it could also perhaps enlarge perhaps confusion, delusion, deception. And being in the fifth house, this might be maybe connected perhaps with children, with the perhaps even with the love of somebody that you might be romantically involved with. And as far as the imagination, maybe that could be tied into creativity, since creativity is associated with the fifth house. Well, anyway, let's take another example. Let's say that transiting Jupiter is making a sextile or trine to your natal, I should say transiting Jupiter in your fifth house is making a sextile or trine to your natal Pluto. Well, this perhaps could be auspicious for putting a lot of positive energy into a metamorphosis or some kind of transformation you make, and with a lot of Jupiter exuberance and enthusiasm. And being in the fifth house, this could perhaps be something connected maybe with a hobby. It could be a new hobby that you embark on, so to speak, or a new hobby you take up, something it's connected with creativity, or something you just simply love and enjoy, or it could be tied in even with children or a romantic partner. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Jupiter transiting the fifth house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Jupiter transiting the sixth house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.